And I think that I have reached the point where I realize that success is significance and making an impact on people. If you want to be significant in all that you do, and there is purpose behind what you do, that passion will drive you to do amazing things that make a difference in the lives of others. So for me, the springboard was right at the beginning because I had felt like God was moving me to start my own business, and I had started it, but because I was working in a corporate job 12 hours a day, I didn't have time to really do the other business.
You're listening to Rise from the Ashes podcast.
Everybody, welcome back. It's another episode from Rise from the Ashes. I'm your host, Baz Porter. I am joined today with a fabulous human being. I've appeared on his shows that are broadcasted every week. It's been a privilege to have Russ in my network, and as a friend, an incredible human being. And I want to let him introduce himself. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet Russ Hedge, the founder of, he's an entrepreneur. I'm going to let you do the introductions for yourself, Russ, because there's no better person to do it for yourself than yourself.
Well, Baz, it is such an amazing honor to be here. Thank you so much. You know, I love opportunities to reach out and speak to everybody. And everybody, I am an inspiration specialist. My name is Russ Hedge, and I am here to inspire and encourage you to live a purpose-driven life of significance. Everything I do is wrapped around that. And I am a marketing coach, keynote speaker, and a live stream producer, as well as live streamer and podcaster. Love that. And like I said, I've had Baz on, and that is so amazing. And I'm just so thankful for opportunities every day to meet new people. And I'm so grateful and thankful for being here today. Thanks a lot, Baz.
The pleasure, Russ, is mine, I will assure you. You do so much for so many others, and it's just an amazing opportunity to give back to you and your audience. I want to start by going a few years back. Before you became what you're doing today, what was the previous version of Russ, the Russ 1.0 version?
I started off in business in advertising and public relations straight out of college, and realized that I really wanted to be in sales and marketing. So I transferred to that, and really had a great 35 plus year career working for some bigger corporations. But was kind of stuck in the corporate wheel. And when COVID happened, things changed for me. But my early version really was a time for me to learn and grow. And from the time I first started in business, I learned that I didn't really know everything. And I thought that I did. Coming out of college, you know, we're all know-it-alls. And I thought that I knew everything and knew what was happening. Yeah, I've got this. I've got this, right? Well, to this day, I realize I don't got this, that there's so much still to learn. So in those early years, actually through a good share of my career, I was learning and growing and learning to develop connections, community, and relationships. That I found was the key to everything I did. And so that was the development and the starting of Russ 1.0.
So in that journey, there's obviously always a lot of lessons being an entrepreneur and learning how to operate in a world not set up for us. Because the corporate world, the structural world in advertisement, media, I could go on forever, is never set up for entrepreneurs or anybody for that matter to actually win. We're set up to be comfortable and live in this zone of that'll do. As entrepreneurs, we always strive to be better, to do better, to give more, to be more. What was the transition like for you going from marketing and sales and realizing there was so much more?
Yeah, that's a super good question, Baz. You know, I think I got comfortable early on. I worked for the largest advertising PR firm in Oregon, and I was pretty comfortable. I drove around in the boss's Mercedes and Jaguar. I had an office overlooking the Willamette River in Portland. They did entertaining and were very, just very connected in the community. went to Blazer games and all kinds of sporting events. It was pretty comfortable right off the bat, but I realized that wasn't really where I wanted to be. And I really wasn't as comfortable as I thought. When I moved into sales and marketing, of course, I was on the drive to make as much money as I could make and to be successful. And as I went through that, but was still, again, kind of in that corporate structure, you get to a point where, again, you're comfortable and you're just kind of going along. I think the real transition you're talking about for me really happened at COVID when I really went into my own business and I took on everything for myself and realized that there was a whole lot more to everything than I had seen before, being an employee or being within the corporate structure. Now it was all on me. And there was a lot of good with that because now I got to choose where I went, who I worked with, things that I did. That was good. But then again, all of the financial responsibilities, the structural responsibilities, and all those things were left up to me as well. And so that gave me more drive to really be successful and be actually what I say is significant. I wanted to make a significant impact on people. And now I had the actual ability to do that because I was calling the shots.
You said a couple of things earlier that intrigued me, and I'm sure the person listening to this now going, "Oh my God, success." We each have different versions of it,
Right.
and it expands our array of not just finance, but lifestyle, conditioning, belief systems, thousands of other things. What's the Russ version of success? What's your version of a reality that you know you've got a milestone to meet to go, this is what I want. This is the lifestyle that I've been aiming for.
Great question. And I would say that my early Russ 1.0 success was to make a lot of money and support my family. What I call now Russ 7.0, 7 is my favorite number, God's perfect number. And I think that I have reached the point where I realize that success is significance and making an impact on people. If you want to be significant in all that you do, and there is purpose behind what you do, that passion will drive you to do amazing things that make a difference in the lives of others. And so when I am encouraging, inspiring, and making impact and a difference in other people's lives, I feel successful. God has given me the ability to, I'm a very positive, upbeat person. He's given me the ability to be an encourager and to help people. And to me, amount of money, I could make as much money as anybody and never be as happy as I am when I'm significantly impacting others and helping them. So that's my definition of success.
I love that. And that's why I like meeting people like you, because there's a lot of people, young entrepreneurs, and also some seasoned ones, and all they chase for a very long time is money, is the
Right.
lifestyle, is the fame, is the stages, is the best-selling author books, being in every single media outlet to give them an outward tonality of, I did this. But there comes a point, and you mentioned COVID a couple of times, and it humbled a lot of people
Oh, yeah.
in many different ways. Now, you use COVID interestingly, because COVID was a time where a lot of people's lives were collapsing, relationships were strained, the world went into pandemonium for various reasons that we all know about, for other things going on in the world. But things started to happen in your world, which was actually accelerating it. What was the first thing that you went, enough, I'm doing this, and you went all in on yourself? Because this is a scary journey, or can be for a lot of people. And
Right.
I have a lot of entrepreneur listeners, and they're like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. And they're trying to go to the next shiny object to try and fix their problem. And some of that works, some of it, most of it doesn't, but that's just my experience. What was that springboard moment for you?
Well, it's interesting because COVID to me was the opposite from most people. I think there was two different types of people going into COVID. The ones that were thinking the world was falling apart and there was no hope. And then there were the people that thought there was hope and opportunity. You just had to look elsewhere and get out of the normal everyday grind of what people had been used to. We learned a whole lot from COVID if we paid attention. And so for me, the springboard was right at the beginning because I had felt like God was moving me to start my own business and I had started it, but because I was working in a corporate job 12 hours a day, I didn't have time to really do the other business, but I had the structure started. And then voila, COVID hits. And my beautiful wife said to me, honey, if you really believe that God is moving you this direction and this is what you are meant to do, now is the time because He's stopped the world. Everything is at a standstill. You have all this space and time to make things happen. So I just launched in. I started right off the bat connecting virtually with people, helping others connect virtually, started my podcast, started writing my first book, started getting coaching clients and speaking clients online. And I started showing people not only could I do it, they could do it. And so that was what was really energizing for me, was finding those opportunities. And it was actually a perfect time for me to make that change. I was stable financially, so it gave me time to build my business without being panicked. And there was a lot of really good things about it. So I think the springboard for me, Baz, to answer your question, was right at the beginning, realizing now I could spring into what I was really meant to do, my true purpose in life.
We talk about purpose and going into the unknown. There is always an element of uncertainty or fear. What were your fears in going through COVID, going into the unknown, leaving a stable financial income, a foundation, comfortability, all of the perks, and going, well, sod that, I want to go into the darkness. And it is a tunnel of darkness for a lot of people. Now, yes, you said you were financially stable, which is better than most people who go into entrepreneurship, because a lot of people just bootstrap it and fingers crossed and dive off the cliff.
Right.
I did, so I know. So that's what happened. But there's always a dark night of the soul, or that dark tunnel we go into and go,
Sure.
what the hell am I doing? Was that a journey for you? Or could you, if it was, could you describe it?
Oh, yeah. I think anybody going through their own business would be lying if they said there wasn't times when you had fear and were scared about what was going to happen. I mean, going into my own business, I went from a nice, comfortable corporate job with a stable salary plus a big bonus, plus my company car, plus my company expense count, all of those things. And suddenly I had none of that. And I had to buy my own car, had to, pay for my own things. And so there was a lot into that. And then if, as things go along, you're thinking, wow, can I really make it? I think a lot of it for me, honestly, Baz, was my real strong faith in God gave me stability and realizing I was going to make it and that there was going to be bumps and bruises. But I am all about the power of perspective. And so within this purpose in my life, I was keeping that good perspective. And that good perspective was things may not be happening perfect right now. I may not have a lot of clients right now. I may not be making any money right now, but things are moving in the right direction and I'm taking steps to be successful in the future. And I just gave myself time to let it build. And I think when you're patient and you have that good perspective, then things come together.
You're 100% correct. Everybody that I've ever encountered that have gone into entrepreneurship or have been in entrepreneurship for any length of time, we have a faith, and it's a blind faith in a higher power, whatever you believe in, God,
Sure.
universe, source, and there's so many versions of that. But it's the one connecting thing. There's two, actually. One is faith and whatever you believe in. The second one is a higher mission, a higher calling. Not an external higher calling, an internal higher calling for a version of impact.
Yeah.
Now, you packaged it in coaching, marketing, and helping people build their marketing and sales and other aspects of the business. But there's a lot more behind the scenes going on, wasn't there? Because you recently overcame a terrible ordeal that you've had clearance today, which I'm very thankful of. Entrepreneurs go through illnesses and they go through very hard times, and a lot of them don't speak about it. If
Sure.
you're willing to, could you share a little bit of that story and that journey?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because life happens. So my new book, everybody, by the way, which I'll talk about later, is Life Happens and Then You Choose. Every day, one of my favorite phrases, life is happening and then you choose. And it's the follow-up to my book behind me, which was Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose, which is all about not being befuddled or discombobulated in life, but to live the life you choose. People would say to me how this came my next book. They would say, but I can't choose life. I can't choose what happens to me. And you're exactly right. Things that happen to you in life around you is going to happen, but then you get to choose, where do you go from there? What is your perspective? How do you look at things? What kind of mindset do you have? What kind of choices are you making? And so there was a lot of rough times as far as really not having the money that I needed for things, really things not clicking as well as I was hoping, but realizing that I was on the right path and just having to be, like I said, patient with the process. But at the same time, I was going through some issues. I had a health issue where partway through all of this, I was diagnosed with cancer. And so I went the whole cancer battle, which was the first year and a half or so. I went through a couple surgeries and treatments, and that's all going on behind the scenes. And I'm still trying to maintain a business and still trying to maintain life as this is going on. And then I was declared cancer-free, no sign of disease. But 10 months later, they told me that I was stage 4. It had come back and it had gone from my foot to my brain, actually. And so it became even more work, and other things were happening to me physically from the actual cancer treatment. So the reason I bring those up is because this is what everybody's life is like. In the background, there might be family problems, there might be health problems, there might be relational problems with other people and workers, whatever. And we always bring ourselves to business. And so this is one of the toughest things for an entrepreneur when you are, especially when you're a solopreneur and you're first starting, and there's not a whole lot of support for your business around you. I'm blessed to have a great, amazing teammate who assists me and does amazing things, which helped me tremendously through all of that. But I think that this is one of the biggest struggles because then people get fear, well, everything's going to collapse, it's going to fall apart. Here I've got my mortality staring me in the face, and at the same time, I'm trying to make money for my family and be successful or significant. And I think there's always these things going on. So it's a matter of taking a look at life happening around you, making the right choices, and realizing that there is hope. And I have hope in God, and I have hope that there's a brighter future tomorrow. And so that keeps me driving. And we need that. Like you said, whatever you believe in, you've got to have hope and you've got to keep that positive perspective for what's ahead. Otherwise, your life will come crumbling down, and your business definitely, as an entrepreneur, will come crumbling down if you let your life around you crumble. So that's really what kept me going. Thankful to God, thankful to my good perspective, and just realizing that I was going to make it through. And like I said, yesterday, I was declared no evidence of disease. And that it just makes me praise God all the more. No more sign of cancer in me right now. So that's great. So I get to celebrate now. This is another thing you get to do with life. Now you get to celebrate and move on to the next positive thing.
This is why I love people like you, because everybody I meet have their own traits, no matter what, and you in particular, no matter what you've gone through, you've always had a positive perception on a situation. What was the first book about? So people can go and get that on this episode, because I want to lead that into what you've got coming out very shortly, because I think that's really exciting for the next chapter, so to speak.
Yeah. So the book is hiding behind me. It's Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. I have hand motions that go with it. Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. And so that's all about not being befuddled, not being just completely out of sync with life, but getting aligned with life and making choices that give you a good future. And those choices start with a good mindset, a good perspective, and being passionate about all that you do. If you really want to make an impact on the world and make a difference, it starts with those things. And then, building community, connecting and building community with other like-minded people like Baz that are going to help you propel into that positive future. So that really was the first book, and it was amazing. I was blessed to do 4 collaborative anthology books in between where I did a chapter in each one of those. They were all amazing. They made me an international best-selling author and #1 on Amazon, all 4 of them. And now I'm going to my second solo book, which we'll talk about later. But that first book was really a great springboard. And still today, Baz, when I go to speak at places, one of the conferences I just spoke at, they buy a copy for everybody, and everybody gets a little takeaway, a little piece of me. And that's the nice thing about books.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I want to thank you, Russ, for sharing some time with me today. From my audience, thank you very much for tuning in. This is your chance to give back, to inspire somebody else. So I do encourage you, if you enjoyed this episode, to share it with a friend, share it with somebody that may benefit. Reach out to Russ and have a conversation. He's on LinkedIn, predominantly is where I meet him. Whereabouts else are you at the moment, Russ? Because I know you're on other platforms. Where do you hang out?
I love to hang out on LinkedIn, and I my website, russhedge.com, is the #1 place to go for me. That has all the links to everything about me. But yeah, I love hanging out on LinkedIn as my #1.
Well, so go and check Russ out on LinkedIn. Also go and check the website out, russhedge.com. For myself, thank you very much. This is a privilege to serve you, and thanks you for listening, sharing the message. For myself, I'll see you on the next one. Russ, see you in a bit.
Thanks, Baz.
Thank you.